disruptive.
America that I fuck.
Weird thing to happen. So there is another James O'Keefe deep dive investigated undercover journalist story that just been released. And I don't know what I can make about this because this is a very interesting topic. This is about Disney and Disney being woke into bringing this kind of meshing, corporatized LGBTQ, QRSTUV, alphabet soup to children. And I know this is a controversial subject. I'm not against the LGBTQ movement. I'm not against, LGBTQ people in films or television because, if we want, art to imitate life, that is life. There are gay people, there are bisexuals, there are lesbians out in the world. That is just how the world is. But this is kind of interesting that how the corporate states have kind of coincided with the LGBTQ wokeness, this kind of transgender formity, and manufacture in a way that's not organic. And this is what I see a lot in a lot of the new media sphere that's going on. You see a lot of the movies or television. It just doesn't seem natural. It doesn't seem like a natural concept when they, remake the Little Mermaid into a black non-binary person. Like it seems like it's too much of a weird concept that they throw down our throats. But I want to show this because again, this is a very interesting subject to bring onto this channel here. So James O'Keefe says, breaking. This is the unspoken thing for children to see LGBTQ content, says Walt Disney's creative marketing director, drag queen admit Jeannie Garani into OMG's hidden camera. Garani adds, I'd love to get a drag queen at Disneyland. Furthering, I'm sure that would happen at some point. Garani insists Bob Iger is not axing LGBTQ content at all, supporting concerns that Disney is ramping up their LGBTQ content influenced by DEI hiring practices and the inclusion of forced diverse storylines. So this kind of relates to when BlackRock, when we saw I'm blanking on the name already, something Frank, and the head of BlackRock, who insisted the reason why these corporations are woke is because we, as multi-international investors, created this concept so that we could control corporations, we could control the measures and culture of workplaces. And this is all a concept done up by the billionaire class, that this wokeness, the LGBTQ, the forced diversity, the affirmative action, all of this is done by the upper class to make it look like they actually give a damn about social issues without actually the initiative to do anything organically, nothing to do actually natural and healthy and beneficial to people. So let's take a look at this, because this is kind of an interesting story to bring up.
That's the unspoken thing.
Jeannie Garani, the creative marketing director at Disney, was asked about allowing LGBTQ content to be shown to children. Jeannie agreed that he wants children to see the content and that it is, quote, the unspoken thing.
I despise those kind of people that want to accuse of Disney of grooming children, but I also want children to see LGBTQ content. Don't you agree? Yeah, of course. Yeah. That's the unspoken thing. Am I going to see a drag queen at Disneyland or anything like that? Do you want to do that? Get a drag queen at Disneyland. Yeah. That'd be cool. That would be cool. I'm sure that would happen at some point.
When asked by our...
I mean, the thing is, that's just a crazy question to even ask. And I'm not against drag queens. I'm not against, cross-dressing. There's a lot of, adult shows made for adults. That's the purpose of, drag queen shows and, boudoir and all that. It's for adults. And people go to watch that as adults. I get it. It's fun. It's interesting. It's, I love seeing those stuff. As an adult, as a child, as an impressionable child, that is horrific. Because why would we stun a child with adult content that they don't even fully understand? These are young kids that are barely understanding mathematics. These are young children still in school, barely understanding simple concepts in the world. And you're telling them that they need to be exposed to drag queens, cross-dressers, and LGBTQ. This is the horrific part of this. This is where, people need to figure out where the line needs to be drawn and whether or not we're crossing it. And this is where you get the gays against groomers that have been speaking out against this. This is where people have railed against Disney and their woke content and how, they took it over things like Star Wars and Doctor Who and all these beloved classics and just completely revolted against it. Revolted against the original storytelling that made it so compelling and compassive. This is the big thing. Like, why are we doing this to children? Children who don't fully understand basic concepts. You're now preaching to them about sexuality and gender norms and gender identity when they don't even know basic things. Why would you torture a child like this? Why would you put a child in that space? It's adult content made for adults. Maybe teenagers, but I would never say do this to a child, a young, impressionable child. This is just, again, this is not to discredit, not to go after the LGBTQ. This is not to go after, gay people or make, transphobia. I support, people's decision to live their lives as adults. Let live. But again, this is where we need to have the discussion. This is where we need to sit down as adults, as a tangible issue, and figure out where we draw the line on this. Because he's talking about drag queens at Disneyland. Next to Goofy and Donald Duck. Is that really something necessary for Disneyland?
OMG Undercover journalist if he would authorize drag queens to be present at Disneyland, where children are, mind you. Jeannie the drag queen said, well, he would love to, and it will happen at some point. From classic Disney princesses to drag queens, the transformation of children's programming at the Walt Disney Company is happening. Welcome to the third installment of the Disney Tapes. As we reported in Disney Tapes 1 and 2, Disney has spent recent years focusing more efforts on their seemingly strange take on diversity and less efforts on the type of content and entertainment that one would expect from a once so consistent family-oriented brand. Now, in Disney Tapes 1, we met Disney's Senior Vice President of Business Affairs attorney Michael Giordano. As you'll recall, Michael made it clear that Disney not only blatantly discriminates in their hiring practices, they consistently pass over candidates who are more qualified for candidates who are less qualified, but check the boxes that are consistent with their DEI hiring philosophy.
Certainly, there have been times where, there's no way we're hiring a white male person.
Just kind of unspoken.
Wow.
There are times when it's spoken, but
How would they say it?
there's no way we're hiring a white male person. They, the writers and actors will hear all the time, like, I'm looking to hire.
When you're so not racist that you end up being racist. This is where, again, it always baffles my mind when corporations, employers seek to this level. Like, I thought the whole point was to pick people that are qualified in the job fields. Pick people over their qualifications. Are they eligible to take this job because of the qualifications that they meet? I couldn't care less about race or religion or sexuality, and I don't think employers should even care about that stuff. That shouldn't even be a part of the discussion, but apparently because of DEI taking over the corporate state, that's all they talk about. Like, let's forget about, skills and do you have the ethics and qualifications and abilities to do the job and actually succeed? Let's just hire some, rando that just checks all the imaginary boxes of diversity. And we do that so much that we actually end up being more racist by doing that, by being race baiting in our matches. It's incredible that this guy who was one of the heads of the Disney Corporation just openly states that. Like, we're never going to hire a white guy. Why do you even have to address that? Why is that even a thing? Just hire someone that's qualified to do the job. Don't even, no. Like when Morgan Freeman got interviewed on 60 Minutes and got angry at the Black History Month. Well, where's White History Month? Why are we segregating different months for different people? Is that more racist? Anyway.
Writers and actors who bring diversity, and I'm not looking to bring on any more clients who are white.
Well, they hire no white guys until, that is, they're looking to hire upper-level management, in which case, as we saw in Disney Tapes 2, Dave Mocker, Disney's director of production and finance, claims that the only way you're going to make it into Disney's C-suite is if you're a white Jewish man, a claim that, frankly, I find to be clearly anti-Semitic, without any evidence, and likely not even true.
So you think that they wouldn't hire a C-suite who's not white or not Jewish?
In entertainment, no. There's also a slight glass ceiling for that. I feel like there's a glass ceiling. It's not quite been breached yet.
I'm guessing that Disney doesn't understand their own history. Because if you look at Walt Disney, founder of the Disney Corporation, yeah. You know who Walt Disney was? Do you know how he treated towards Jewish people? Do you know how he was very anti-Semitic? Now it's okay because at least if we, hire a bunch of Zionists into our corporation and side with Israel, our, business ally, because they blackmail and compute us with business intel, then everything's okay, right? Disney is a safe and happy place for families.
Going to see a CFO really for lack of a word, non-white, non-Jewish.
You'll recall Mocker also talks about Disney's over-the-top insistence on jamming woke storylines and out-of-place diversity characters in places they clearly don't fit creatively. Which now brings us to Disney Tapes Volume 3, from classic Disney princesses to drag queens. The transformation of children's programming at the Walt Disney Company is in full effect. Not a week goes by without a news headline about potential medical...
Okay, so I'm not going to show all this because it's a very long clip, and clearly that's an advertisement there, but again, I feel like this is a very serious issue that needs to be addressed at this point. It seems like a crazed time that we're in right now. And considering we just, finished up with Pride Month, we finished off with it's just so sporadic. The whole LGBTQ2A plus. I don't even know the letters anymore. And I used to. I thought I was an ally. I thought I was an ally. Let people let them be who they want to be. I thought that it shouldn't matter who people screw around or who they love, or I thought love was love. I thought that was the whole point. I support that as a principle. You should love whoever you want to love. That's being part of a human being. But the fact that it's just gone so over the top, that's not only demoralizing people that are not part of this, but it's also demoralizing the people within the group. Because it's not only now people that are in the gay community feel like outsiders because apparently they're not gay enough, or apparently they're not included. It's not enough to be a G or an L. Now you have to be a T. Now you have to be a non-binary or a pansexual or a two-spirit. I don't even know half of these. I don't even know what the plus is. Does anyone know what the plus is in the Alphabet Clan? I don't know what that is. Is that like for streamers? Are those the people that are dedicated to OnlyFans? Like what's the plus in the LGBTQRS slur? But this is something that I feel like we could have hours conversation on. There's a lot of interesting subject matter to mention about this. I have seen a lot of different conversations about this topic. And this is one of those things I think we as people need to sit down. We need to address that this is some sort of kind of corporate psyops. This is no longer, organic grassroots. And clearly we could see that, the fact that Pride has been taken over by the corporate state to just change rainbow flags and preach it down our throats without actually doing anything, monumental for people, is just completely diminishes the whole principle of what it means to be proud, what it means to be prideful, what it means to be an individual and embracing yourself. It's just crazy. It's chaotic. So, James O'Keefe, you can check it out. Like I said, I'm not going to show the full thing because it's a very long clip, but that's fascinating. That's fascinating. The Disney Corporation probably going to do more insanely real, just insidious stuff, and the possibility of adding a drag queen to Disneyland and Disney World. Again, not to diss on drag queens. Drag queens are pretty awesome. But there's a reason why it's adult content. There's a reason why you go to adult places with other adults and enjoy adult entertainment. There's a reason why kids go to Chuck E. Cheese and grown men go to strip clubs. I would not bring a child to a strip club. I would not bring a child to Hooters, for God's sakes. That's just me saying that. So why are we shoving sexuality, innuendo, and men in dresses down the eyes of innocent children that don't understand the basic concepts of life? That's what's really damaging. And that's what's really scary, paranoid, and really needs to be addressed. That's all I can say about it. Because if I go any further, I know there's going to be hate mail, left, right, and center. But that's all I could say. It's just, it's a little too much. We definitely need to draw a line somewhere. And I feel like we've way crossed that line many moons ago. To the point that I don't know what else is left, and I'm worried about what's happening next. Just one of those crazy things.